Hey guys, this video is going to be on the debate of Masteron versus Primobolan. Both are very popular, used kind of interchangeably as an add-on to testosterone. Both are used for the anti-estrogenic effects and the fact that they're relatively low side effects. Now, I've done both. I've been doing Masteron for about 1 month now, so I feel like I can report on what I feel on it. And I did Primobolan before in a previous cycle, so they're very similar, but at the same time, very different. It's very interesting, actually. I've noticed some like this general feeling on both of those, and I just want to give my 2 cents on this because I think for a lot of beginners on a beginner cycle who are taking super physiological doses of testosterone, adding on to this stack, Primobolan or Masteron is a very good option. It is, I think, ideal option, especially if your bodybuilders use it in certain cutting phase, in the cutting phase of things, in a prep cycle. But it doesn't. Both don't necessarily have to be used in that as well. Both can be used alongside bulking agents such as NPP, and then mitigating those estrogenic effects, the conversion of testosterone to estradiol. But both do it in a kind of a different way. But at the same time, the only important thing I want to mention about that is that they both do that. So, and that's desirable because as soon as you start running maybe over 300, definitely over 400 testosterone, and especially if you're on a beginner cycle and you might not be totally cut, you might have some body fat, which converts the testosterone to estrogen in greater quantity, then adding the Primobolan or Masteron is, I would say, it's a necessity at that point. And then if you run something like an MPP, then that's only going to add to the estrogen conversion more. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. That's kind of a very common thing. The second thing is, again, very common, is the price point of each. My Primobolan source is $110 per vial, which is 100 milligrams per milliliter, 10 milliliters. And my Masteron source at the moment is $25 a vial. Same, 100 milligrams per milliliter. So, hey, that's kind of a benefit, right? You save $80 almost. So price point, and often Primobolan is faked as Masteron, but that's a rumor. I'm not gonna say that's always true. If you have a good source with a good, go in the forums, get a good source that's well reputable, and you can even test it yourself. You can buy test kits to make sure that it's not that. But often it is. Often Primobolan is either, if it is not real Primobolan, it's either Masteron or EQ. And so yeah, the price point, Masteron is usually better for whatever reason. I think it's just maybe it's harder to make, or the Chinese companies that import it, it's just a little bit for the raw materials, the raw powder might be just a little bit more per gram that you're buying of the powder, and then the people who are the underground labs then convert that with the oils to the injectable form. So then that price just gets pushed onto the consumer on a little bit greater amount. But at the same time, I don't see why it's that much more expensive. I have a cheap source for Masteron. I wish they had Primobolan, but they don't. But if they did, I would totally buy that because, okay, now I'm going to get into my own personal comparison between the two because, again, I did both. Primobolan and the testosterone, it's very pleasant feeling. It's slow, steady gains. That's how I would just an overall statement what it is. It's slow, steady gains, lean muscle with no side effects, none, other than maybe high blood pressure. But to be honest, the high blood pressure could have been due to the testosterone, the super physiological dose of testosterone I'm taking. but also a pleasant sense of well-being. And the way I've described it and other people describe it as just chill. As a steroid, it's just chill. Anavar is not really chill. You take Anavar, you go and you turn into a fucking demon in the gym, and you want to fucking lift mad weights. It's a bit of a exaggeration, but it's really not at the same time. It's like, okay, some steroids do that, right? Obviously, there's Trenbolone, and Nandrolone might cause emotional issues. EQ might cause neurological issues. Some steroids cause psychological negative side effects. Primobolan doesn't. Primobolan as well is very low on the androgenic side of things, so you're not going to experience those what would be referred to as dirty side effects in steroid use. Dirty being the androgenic effects. Okay, and that's why actually women can, I wouldn't suggest it, but they can run Primobolan at low doses. I'm sure many do, who are like bikini models or female bodybuilding that don't want to look like they turn into men. They'll run that. Now, converse to the other side of things, to Masteron, it does have a bit of a higher androgenic rating, and it is, both are DHTs, but derived steroids. But Masteron is known more than Primobolan for things like hair loss. So you could notice some of the negative side effects from DHT more than Primobolan, but at the same time, it's not, I don't think it's too much over. I think it's more of, if you're prone to it, you could experience things like hair loss more. That being said, don't shy away from things that have androgenic ratings. Like, for example, testosterone has a 100 to 100 androgenic to anabolic rating, and that androgenic thing is a good thing. That's what makes testosterone a great compound, like the base compound. So adding Masteron, I think, is a good thing. And from my research, I believe Masteron can add anabolic growth. I don't know if I want to say more or not than Primobolan. I think they might be a little bit different, but it's more pronounced in some way. Like, since I've been taking Masteron, it's like, I think it's just the dryness effect. So your muscles are more pronounced, but it's also adding to them. Where Primobolan, it's like over time you'll just get bigger muscle tissue growth. But it's like you gotta wait like 2 months, 3 months, you'll start to see it on the testosterone stack. If you start taking Primobolan, it's like after 1 month, you'd be like, yeah, you'll notice some things. You'd be like, oh, it's great and all, but like, it's the curve is like this. But it all depends on how much you're actually taking. Like, I was taking 400 milligrams a week on testosterone, 400 milligrams a week. So yeah, it was definitely noticeable. Definitely great. Strength, size gains, slow, steady. Masteron, I feel like it's more pronounced. You get it, and that's why I think it's used as a cutting stack, because it's like when you're preparing for a contest, say, and you just got a short period of time, like, it's a good agent to use. I think that's why they do use it. So I covered, I think, all the basis as the difference. The other thing is maybe just the general feeling of the two of them. I think Masteron you're a bit more of like an edge behind you, but it's not a bad one. But like, you have a bit of like an edge in your personality, or like you're taking to the gym. You know what I mean? Like a little level of aggression, a little bit. Where Primobolan, there was no aggression. It was just like very more lovey-dovey, if you want to. If there's a way to describe a steroid as like that's what I want to say. Now, to be honest, that's not a really great description. Let's say it's more, you're just more chill. Like, it's like you're not even on anything. And I think that's the reason why people always thought it was weak for ages. Well, first of all, let's go to the history of it. Primobolan was used by like Arnold Schwarzenegger and other bodybuilders in the 70s, like Primobolan or whatever it was called at the time, like actual pharma grade stuff when it was made pharma grade. And it's gone through different cycles of popularity. In recent times, it was known for being a weak steroid and that not to use. Chicks used it. It's just like not a desirable thing to use. Now, you look online now, with the right people, who are like professional bodybuilders who are huge, they're running like over a gram of test and a gram of Primobolan at a time, and in like the off season and whatnot. So it's like now it is like very desirable compound, and maybe that's what's adding to the price of it as well. I think it is worth the price, but at this time I'm not using it because I did it for 3 months and I kind of want to cycle on and off it. I wouldn't want to run it for more than 4 months, maybe pushing it, but you probably could, because as far as I know, the Primobolan can have negative effects on the liver where Masteron doesn't. So again, another potential positive side effect of Masteron. But I just want to also, as a disclaimer, I'll end this video on this disclaimer. Both I really feel have not been studied enough for both the side effects, especially Masteron for men, because it was used when it was used as a pharmaceutical. It was used for women in breast cancer. So I don't think there's been enough studies on men, and I think for both of them there hasn't been enough studies on the side effects of on certain organs and systems in the body, primarily liver, kidneys, and neurological. I'm going to say those three. We all know what effects on the muscular. There's been a lot of data on that, even though the data isn't necessarily medical backed, but there's plenty of data on that. It affects the muscle tissue very well. So I would recommend, if somebody who is starting to get into anabolics and they want to take that super physiological dose of testosterone, Masteron or Primobolan is a must. What do you guys think about that? What's your experience with Primobolan and Masteron? Do you have any questions about it, about my cycle, or about anything else that I might have missed? Please leave in the comments section below. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.